Hello and welcome back to Mel the Bombshell. In today's video, we're going to look at two really cool special edition Xbox Series X controllers. The controllers in particular we are going to look at in this box today are used controllers that were purchased by me from GameStop. One of the controllers when purchasing was considered refurbished and the other was considered pre-owned. And today, not only are we going to look at what these special edition controllers look like, but we're also going to investigate GameStop's pre-owned versus refurbished markings on their controllers and see if there's really a difference. However, since GameStop's pre-owned price and refurbished price are usually the same, it seems unlikely that there's that much of a difference. So today we're going to look at these two controllers and see, one, how cool these special edition controllers are, and two, if there's really a difference in the quality of the controllers that you get from GameStop depending on whether you buy used or pre-owned. With all of that said, let's go ahead and get into it. So to start out, I just want to show you all what the box that GameStop packed this in kind of looks like. I have not touched or opened this whatsoever. All that I did was remove the packing slip with my address on it, and that is it. As you can probably already tell, there's a lot of movement inside the box and some weird noises. This isn't really a quality that you want to feel, see, or hear whenever you get a package, whether or not it has electronics like controllers or video game accessories in it. Despite the noise and movement, there is a good amount of tape to make sure that the box doesn't break open, and the box size seems adequate. It's not like insanely large or insanely small for what the objects are, but we will see what the inside is like and how well GameStop has decided to cushion this before they shipped it through FedEx. So, let's look. So I've got my box right here and we're going to take a look-see at the inside. Like I said, it is taped around all the edges, but there is quite the sound. Get the knife ready and go ahead and slice her open. So now we see what these are really packed like, and we just see two bags, I won't get too much into the controller, with the controllers in it placed inside of this box. And I just want to say that that is just disappointing to only have two bags with controllers in it. No foam, no paper, no packing material whatsoever. With GameStop, even with buying video games, occasionally I've seen them packed with at least that brown paper to protect the objects inside. And to get two controllers, which are easily damaged in shipping, just put in a bag inside of a box and those two bags just smushed together, that is insanely disappointing. So take that into consideration if you are someone who is planning to buy some controllers from GameStop. Now, outside of that, let's go ahead and look at these two controllers and compare what the differences really look like. Just based on getting them out and reviewing what they printed on my order paper, they don't specify which one was refurbished and which one was pre-owned. So, kind of like I said at the beginning, I don't think they really care. I think that that is just an option that shouldn't really be considered on GameStop, and it seems like both will probably come in the same. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at each controller, and we are going to start with Forza Horizon 5 Edition. Let's get her open and start looking. So right here in front of me is the Forza Horizon 5 Edition Xbox Series X controller. As you can tell, just like GameStop does what you may have seen in store, just in this very loud bag packaging. Open and remove. One thing that GameStop occasionally does, I haven't seen it all the time, on their controllers is they add these little silicone rings around the thumbsticks just to prevent movement and the clicking in and out of the thumbsticks. I guess it helps prevent any damage in shipping, which is really nice. So went ahead and took those off. We're going to look at the overall quality and overall condition of this front part. If we take a close look, the faceplate with the paint and the translucent yellow is in pretty good condition. I do not see any scuffs or cracking on the paint, no worn off areas of the paint splatter going across, nor do I see scratching or excessive wear on the translucent yellow parts. One thing I didn't know until just now is that the D-pad has a bit of a shimmer to it. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but it's got a little bit of like an iridescent sheen. You can kind of see that goes along with the blue and purple and pink and yellow theme of this controller. Let's take a look at our buttons. So the buttons all look good, but let's test and make sure they all press. All the buttons feel good and normal, do not seem to be overused. There's no button stickiness. And also, there doesn't seem to be a grime buildup on the outside rings of these buttons, which is really nice. Same goes for the options button and the start button and the share button in the center. Now let's give them a press. All press very nicely. Check out our D-pad. Looks good. And as you can see, no grime buildup on that ring. That is an awesome plus. Looking at our sticks, we see a bit of wear around the outside rings. So you can see some damaged areas on that part. And same goes for the right stick. The right stick though doesn't seem to have as much wear as the left one. Moving these around, I can tell that they've been moved around a lot, especially this left stick. But as racing games go, this is one of the main spots and main things that you use on your controller. Checking out our Xbox button, seems to press nicely with no stick. If we get to our bumper area, we have the left trigger, which is pink. The right trigger is the turquoise color, and then the rest is just a white. The pairing button also presses nicely, and once again, no excessive grime buildup in the edges around the bumpers, which for a used controller can be pretty rare to find. The only damage I can find on the bumper and trigger area is a slight scratch, a slight scuff on the right trigger here. The rest though seems super clean and in perfect condition. Just pressing these, nice click, normal press amount, and good bounce back response. One neat thing about the Forza controller is it's got a different type of textured backing for your hand grips. This reminds me personally of a racing seat, which ties in that racing theme a little bit more into the controller. It's a very nice touch. This rubber is quite soft actually, and does seem to have a bit of a worn out feeling, which I'm not sure what these feel like new, but you can kind of tell there is a little bit of a dirt buildup on some parts of this rubber. But that dirt buildup seems kind of normal for this kind of texture, where it does want to attract dirt more, just where it has that extra grip. If we look at the bottom ports with the audio jack, we also see that there's not an excessive amount of dirt buildup or grime, and there is no buildup around the meeting point of the handles and the back plate. Let's open up our battery compartment. Once again, very clean, no corrosion whatsoever it seems. This was a very well taken care of controller. So overall, with this, I am highly satisfied. Now that we've looked at our Forza Horizon controller, let's take a look at the Starfield used controller from GameStop. As you can see, still says pre-owned up here. Still that insanely loud bag, just a different controller on the inside. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. So here is our Starfield controller. We're going to be looking at the same sort of things that we did on that Forza controller, starting with that front plate. So if we take a close look at this front plate, the Starfield controller itself just has a basic white design with like a matte finish and some painted areas to give it that spacey and Starfield theme to it. The thumbs on this have a red base stick with a gray top, and this is more of a bronze type of D-pad that is metallic. So if we take a look at this one, there is a little bit of some dirt that seems left over on the controller, maybe a little bit of dust overall, so it's not quite as clean. Once again, I do not notice any major scuffs, any major scratches, or any major areas where the paint has been worn off, where the design has been worn off on this controller. That's one thing I was worried about, especially with this top painted portion right here. I did not want to have a big gash going through the stripes for the Starfield theme. Now let's look at our buttons. So the buttons, of course, are something that gets used all the time. And I have had some Xbox controllers with buttons that stick, so let's check those, make sure they all work. They all press very nicely and very clean. And just like the Forza controller, I do not notice a grime buildup on those outer edges of the buttons. Let's look at our middle buttons, our share, start, and select. A little bit of dirt around them, it seems, but all the buttons press with no dirt buildup around those edges. And our Xbox logo that has a translucent white with a white painted part, no grime, presses in like normal. Check out our D-pad, make sure it doesn't stick. Seems good. And it seems like that metallic finish is all consistent. Once again, no major scratching and no dirt or grime buildup around those edges. If we look at our thumbsticks, once again we have some minor scuff marks and some minor worn areas on the thumbstick. This thumbstick seems slightly discolored, a little bit more brown or tan in this outer upper right portion of the thumbstick, so it's not that perfect, pristine gray. Same over here, but I think that is due to just the texture of the thumbstick itself, wanting to pick up and almost exfoliate your fingers as you're playing a game. So this is a little bit dirty around the rings, not quite as clean, but this is also a color that would show it. Looking at our bumpers and triggers, the Starfield controller has a translucent trigger that you can see the mechanics and the rumble inside of the trigger on. Both triggers press very nicely. And same with the bumpers and the share button. The USB-C port, once again, looks very clean. And as I'm looking at this top edge, I'm not noticing any dirt or grime buildup. A little bit on the textured area up here on the bumper. That's about it. Other than the bumpers, immediately upon looking at the back, we can see that this battery cover has been replaced. I'll show an image here to compare, but the original Starfield controller was the same red color that's on the back plate and had the Starfield logo. So that is incredibly disappointing that this one did not come with that. And it's also disappointing that not only did they just put a white one on, but the white is slightly off-white compared to the pristine white paint of the other parts of the controller. So that will bother me in the future. Not my favorite. Otherwise, very clean, not a lot of grime in the cracks around the hands, but this insanely disappointing. And this also is scuffed and in worse condition compared to the rest of the controller. So shame on you, GameStop, on that. If we look at our grips, these grips are more like your standard Xbox controller grips. They are very clean, no major worn out spots, not even on the areas where you would set them down. And one thing that's cool about this controller in particular is you have like a two-tone gray for your grips, which just goes along with that dark gray and light gray Starfield aesthetic. If we look at the bottom buttons with our audio jack, looks very clean. That once again looks very clean. This whole edge is very clean, all very nice. Let's look at our controller cover that is not original to the controller itself. A little bit difficult to get off too. And the inside where the batteries are located, a little bit more worn out on this controller compared to the other, but still very clean overall. And this is even dirty on that inside of that. That's just disappointing. I'm not putting that back on. Looking at the two controllers side by side, they both do seem cared for, and I am satisfied with my purchase from GameStop so far, other than that little backing part. Just with the overall view, what do you all think? Look at these controllers together. Which one do you think is a little bit cooler than the other? So overall, I'm very satisfied with this purchase. The only part that really bothered me was that the Starfield controller had the replacement controller bag that didn't really match the rest of the controller whatsoever. But that is always something that I guess could be fixable just by picking out a better color or by trying to find one third party. However, that does add to the expense of the controller. Take into account things like this whenever you do purchase pre-owned from GameStop. Something may not be original on either your controller that you get or the console set that you get. You may get a console that comes with a standard black controller rather than a special edition controller. Or you could be like me and get a console that came with a different special edition controller. So do take that into account when purchasing pre-owned or used things from GameStop. However, I do not believe that GameStop should have two separate listings for refurbished versus pre-owned controllers, as these, in my opinion, were pretty much on the same level, with the only difference being that replaced back cover. But still, with the replaced back cover, I feel like that's not something that will or won't always happen depending on the name. So once again, I really feel like they should all just say used or all just say pre-owned, like they put on their bags. So overall, what do you all think about these two controllers? I'll put a vote up later on which one of these is cooler, the Forza Horizon 5 edition or the Starfield Edition Xbox Series X controller. And also let me know if you've had any good or bad experience with buying pre-owned things like controllers or consoles from GameStop. If you would like to see more videos about controllers specifically, please let me know in the comments below. Please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. That way you get to see more cool content, controllers, and consoles in the future. I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and I hope that you enjoyed your couple of minutes here. Bye!